So, those of you who aren't watching the replay and just watched me talk about Aquaman 2, Daniel, you watched The Flash, right?
Yes.
Better or worse than Shazam 2?
I would say slightly better.
Yeah, you couldn't even beat The Flash,
Yeah.
despite everything stacked up against The Flash. This is still like of the four remaining DCEU movies that they shoved out this year.
Yeah.
This is definitely the weakest of the bunch.
Eh. Yeah, I have no doubt of that. This was not very good. And I'll be honest, I didn't like the first one all that much.
Yeah, the first one I liked well enough.
Yeah.
Um, I remember at the time thinking that the villain looked a lot like that one alt-right guy who, like the philosopher guy or the wannabe philosopher guy.
Mm.
I cannot think of his name because it's been a year since I've seen anything from him because he was banned from YouTube.
Molyneux. Stephen
That's
Molyneux.
it. I kept
Yeah.
thinking he looked like Molyneux.
Yeah, he kind of did. Yeah. I think it was the bald head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he has similar features, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. Um, because it doesn't impact them. But I would say the flaws of the first movie um, were that Zachary Levi, as good as game as he is for this role, and he's trying very hard with this role.
Yeah.
He Either he wasn't good casting or the writing did not support him.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably go with the latter. Because I've seen him in other things. Like, I mean, he was really good in Chuck. If you ever watched that show.
Oh yeah, that's what I knew him from. That
Yeah,
and that Entangled.
yeah, and yeah, he was the voice of he was Flynn Rider in Tangled. But but yeah, I think it was it's kind of seemed to me like he was trying to be like Chris Pratt in a way, like Star Lord, and it
Yeah,
just
that
didn't
kind of
really.
goofy man childishness.
Yeah, yeah, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. So the strange thing about it is that, and they make many attempts at jokes in this movie about him not having the wisdom of Solomon.
Right, yeah.
Like
He
the
doesn't
whole,
even pronounce the name right.
he keeps calling in this movie. He keeps calling it. I have the wisdom of Saruman.
Saruman, yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
because I guess we live in a post-biblical world where people don't know who King Solomon is. But
Yeah. Well, I remember watching Clarkson's Farm, and his farmhand that works for him didn't know who Moses was. So,
mm,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to the first movie, like the big flaws that movie had were Billy Batson seemed like a somewhat troubled but put together kid, like mature for his age.
Yeah.
And then it's like he was this unrecognizable, goofy character as soon as he said the magic word and turned into the superhero.
Yeah, which didn't make any sense.
No, I would say this was the most MCU of the DCEU.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
and
just kind of the trash humor and stuff.
yeah, and I remember it was trying to be like the first movie was trying to be like big but with a superhero.
Right, which could have worked, but
Yeah.
it's not very true to the comics though. Like they always made a point that he did become more mature when he was Captain Marvel or Shazam, depending on the version.
Yeah.
By the way, for purposes of this review, I'm going to stick with the name Captain Marvel and refer to another character as Captain Marvel Jr. because, boy, they lost so much when they stopped being able to call him Captain Marvel.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Although at one point at near the end of the movie, there was one person who calls him Captain Marvel.
Yeah, yeah, they brought in the actor from the '70s live action show.
Ah, okay.
He was even wearing the same red shirt he would always wear in that one, which was based on his comics appearance.
Oh, okay. Um,
But so that was the flaw with the first movie.
yeah,
Um, not a good take on Captain Marvel slash Shazam.
yeah,
Um, Number two, at the end, he spreads his power among his fellow adoptive family here, and that and you can see the six superheroes here.
Yeah.
The problem is that they all have the identical superpower set, and you wonder what's so special about him.
Yeah. Yeah,
And the,
they did the Marvel family a little too soon there.
right. And if I'd been asked to write this movie, I would have very much decided to. I would have probably done something like where he has to step out on his own, like, oh, he's going to college and bad
Mhm.
things happen to him while he's in college,
Right. Yeah.
and he can't just call on his family all the time.
Mhm.
And also, you might remember at the end of the first movie, they had a scene where you had Doctor, not it's not Doctor Zhivago, Doctor.
Oh, what was his name? I'm trying to remember. You talking about
Uh,
the bad guy?
Dr. Savannah, that's it. The one
Savant.
who so Dr. Savannah was the villain of the last movie, and he was met in prison by Mr. Mind, who's a little caterpillar with a little voice box.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And like and Mr. Mind was trying to to recruit him to like some league of evil.
Mhm.
So me, like a dumbass, I would have assumed that the villain of this one would have been Mr. Mind teamed up with Dr. Savannah to try and get revenge, because Dr. Savannah had briefly had the powers of Shazam too, and then had them stolen when Captain Marvel broke this magical staff that he had used for it.
Right, which that comes into play in the in this movie.
Also, weird that this and Aquaman 2 both have a plot MacGuffin that is a staff that has been. Uh, I guess in Aquaman 2 it was a trident, but still basically the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's why when you were doing your review, I'm like, are you getting your movies mixed up here?
No, they were just extraordinarily uncreative to have magical MacGuffins that required reuniting two halves of a staff.
Yeah.
But all right, so the movie starts with a. When you're watching a movie and it's like this is just kind of something feels off from the jump.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that way in the scene at the museum in Greece where you had these two. Um, they wouldn't be gods, or was Atlas a Titan? I guess Atlas was a
Uh,
Titan.
I thought I can't remember.
Anyway, basically, two Greek goddesses show up and get this staff and wreak havoc
Yeah.
in a rather horrifying scene because people are turned into statues and then they fall over and shatter.
Yeah, and one of them, whispers into people's ears and makes them fight each other. Yeah.
Whispers in your ear, embrace chaos, and they just go and start trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
Uh, and right after that, you have a very jokey scene where you're reintroduced to the Marvel family here.
Hmm.
Um, so part of the reason it was a mistake to have six Marvels, they only actually did anything with two of them in this movie.
That's true. Yeah. At any one time, yeah, it's usually only like two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and so let's go ahead and dispense with four of these characters right away.
Yeah.
Mary Marvel, who is probably the most famous of the alternate Captain Marvels here.
Hmm.
Um, her plotline is that she wanted to go to college, but I guess Billy guilted her into not going to college so they could keep superheroing. But
Right.
she, but she
Yeah.
is but she is pursuing STEM in her free time
Hmm.
because she quote likes it.
Yeah.
You would think that this would result in a plot line where she says, I'm tired of being stifled. I'm going off on my own and you can't stop me. You don't own me. We're not even real family because they're all adopted.
Right.
This
Yeah.
never happens.
Nope.
Um, the guy over here on the left, I don't even remember what his superhero name was supposed to be.
Which one? The
The
far
far
left,
left,
or yeah,
yeah.
the far, okay. I don't
Uh,
remember. He's the Asian kid.
yeah, I just feel bad about calling him the Asian guy,
Yeah.
but I don't even know if he was based on a comic book character. Um,
Yeah.
okay, fine. I'll just be racist. The Asian guy over there.
Yeah.
His entire character arc is he goes looking for things in Shazam or the Wizard Shazam's secret lair.
Eugene is his name.
Eugene. Okay, Eugene. That is his whole thing. He contributes even less to the plot than most of the other characters.
Yeah.
Because let's see here. Da-da-da-da-da. What was the Hispanic one's name again?
Pedro.
Pedro. Pedro is gay. This is the extent of his characterization,
Yes.
which means that he is ahead of Eugene,
Yeah.
insofar as he has a gimmick.
Yeah.
So at least he has that going for him.
Yes.
Then you have Darla here, who both the adult and child versions of the character are very charming, and I kept wanting more of them.
Yes. Yeah. And she really likes unicorns.
Which does actually come up.
Hmm.
Um, and also at one point, she steals some kittens from a car and nicknames it Tawny, which is a reference to Tawny Tiger, who is a humanoid tiger who decided to live with humans in the
That.
Shazam comics. That is the extent of her characterization.
Yeah.
So I would say that of the six Marvels, she gets the third most things to do.
Yes.
Uh, this movie is about Captain Marvel himself, not Billy Batson. Captain Marvel himself
Hmm.
and Captain Marvel Jr. over here in his human form mostly.
Yes. He's it's Freddy, and he's the one who has to walk around with a crutch.
Yeah, and it's weird that Freddy spends most of the movie in human form because he gets his powers stolen early on,
Right.
and Captain Marvel spends most of the movie in uh, Captain Marvel form, and Billy is barely around. Like, what was Asher Angel, who played Billy Batson, not available for a lot of shoots? Is that what's going on here?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Unless there was some clause in Zachary Levi's contract that he had to have the most screen time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Um, but basically, the movie opened. So, movie opened with that scene in the Greek museum. You cut to Shazam. I keep calling him Shazam. The reason it's confusing is that the wizard's name is also Shazam. This is and his code word is also Shazam.
Yeah. It's
So that's why I'm trying to stick to Captain Marvel, but I keep remembering the right name.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you cut to Captain Marvel seeing his family pediatrician for psychological advice, which they highlight how stupid that is. And this version of Billy Batson is like 18. Like,
Yeah, we're almost 18. Yeah.
if they had hired an actual 12-year-old kid to play him, that his characterization would make much more sense.
Hmm.
But he's told,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're dealing with imposter syndrome," and then you have a kind of a neat showpiece where the Ben Franklin Bridge was it? They're in Philadelphia. George
Yeah.
Washington Bridge.
No, not the George Washington Bridge is in
That,
uh, New York.
that's good. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think it's the Ben Franklin Bridge. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, the bridge is collapsing. You get a little taste of all their personalities except for Eugene, who does not have a personality. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and they save the day, but the bridge collapses, and they're just the town has no respect for them. They're just seen as a bunch of jokes who cause more damage than they help.
Yeah, they're called the Philadelphia Fiasco.
Yeah, like that is not our name. And that's a recurring theme in the movie is that the names like nobody has figured out their superhero name yet.
Yeah. Well, okay. So one of the things that bothered me with the bridge part was that when all the cables were like
Mhm.
snapping and everything, I can't remember who it was. It might have been. I think it was Eugene. He looks at the cable. There's a part where he kind of takes a hard look at the cable,
Mhm.
and I thought, oh, he's going to say that somebody cut these cables deliberately. But no, nothing ever came of that.
Yep. Right. They're blamed because of faulty bridge construction, I guess.
Yeah, I.
Man, bad superhero movies like scenes with bridge accidents. Although I guess unlike Fantastic Four, these guys didn't cause the whole problem that they solved.
Right, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so they go home. You get a little taste of life with the kids and their adoptive parents.
Mhm.
And God, I don't know if I want to go blow by blow on this one. Do I? I don't know if I have the
Yeah,
strength.
I don't know if I wanna do that either.
Because we already kind of we kind of summed up the lack of character development for the kids and
right,
their
yeah, so, well, let's get to, like, get to the villains. So, we've got the daughters of Atlas.
right.
There are
Because
3 yeah, there are 3 of them. You had Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and then, we come to find out one of the 3rd one, the youngest one, is, Rachel Ziegler.
right, which I didn't realize that she was a villain at first because the idea that because she showed up and she was so much younger than the other two,
Yeah, yeah,
and she just looks like she is a girl at the school who is Captain Marvel Jr.'s love interest.
yeah. And, hey, Travis Mitchell, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
Hope you guys are well. It would be funny to see this Shazam show up in Peacemaker, now being the vulgar teenager.
yeah, yeah, that would be a good place
Maybe.
for him.
Yeah,
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 although he kind of trashed the DCEU a bit on X from the sounds of it, so he may not be invited back anytime soon.
yeah, yeah.
But but so so Rachel Ziegler shows up. She's one of the other goddesses, but you don't know this at first. At first, it just looks like she is a love interest for Freddy,
Hmm.
aka Captain Marvel Jr., aka Captain Every Power. So I'll be referring to him as Captain Marvel Jr. from here out
Yeah.
because that's a stupid, stupid name, and losing that
Yeah.
lawsuit hurt this franchise so much.
Yes, it did. Yeah,
Considering they were Captain Marvel first.
yeah. But yeah. So, yeah, you don't know that she's one of the goddesses that, or I'll call them goddesses,
Right.
um, or
The reason,
demigods, or
yeah, the reason this didn't even occur to me at first is because I maybe I missed something, but like, why the hell was she attending their school? Was it just because Shazam, or was it because Captain Marvel had shown up one time at the school, so that was their lead to try to find him? That was the best I could come up with, but I had to read that into it.
I kind of, that's kind of what I read into it too. And of course Freddy was there. Was there eating lunch with Captain Marvel and Superman, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
uh,
guess that makes enough sense to try to get close to him to figure things out.
yeah, but they never explain that. You just kind of have to fill in that gap.
Yep. So it turns out that the magic staff that they stole from the Greek museum has the ability to add and remove powers from gods.
Yes. Yeah, and they make the real Shazam, the wizard, played by Dujimon Hansu, who
Which, man, also from Rebel Moon.
yeah, it was also from Rebel Moon. Although he has more to do in this movie than he
Yes,
did in Rebel Moon.
that's very true.
Yeah. And so you got him entering into the mix, and then Freddy gets kidnapped by the daughters, and then then that's where he meets the wizard, and then they try to get Freddy back, and uh they what they want is this gold apple, which they have, and of course they have no idea that it's anything like Captain Marvel is just kind of tossing around like it's like a one
Right,
of these things, you know.
right. Like if they get this golden apple, like the realm of the gods was destroyed, as you might recall in Wonder Woman. I forget how.
Yeah, I don't
Like all
remember
the
any.
gods were dead. Was it Ares who killed all the gods, or was
I think it
Ares?
was, yeah, I think it was Ares. Yeah,
It's weird that the consistent villains of this, like, you don't have multiple movies with Lex Luthor, you don't have multiple movies with Darkseid. No, the recurring DCEU villains are General Zod and the Greek gods.
yeah. Yeah.
And Black Manta, I guess, got to appear twice. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
as a major villain. So I guess he's got that going for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
But and so yeah, long story short, the after some really unfunny humor around this magical pen that can write things for them.
yeah. Very, very. Yeah. There's a scene in the library that's very like Harry Potter esque. With the flying books and the floating pen and everything.
Basically, they have this magic pen that can write out whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Travis, we're going to get to that post-credit scene fairly quick.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Yeah.
But so but like it'll write out what they say, and the
Hmm.
joke, and they do this joke twice, is they send letters of challenge to the goddesses.
And it just writes down everything they're saying. Yeah.
Right, so it'll be like, "Dear goddesses, no wait." You have Helen Mirren probably having a hard time not breaking out laughing while reading this stupidity,
Yeah.
because it isn't funny. Uh, because it isn't exactly funny, but it is ridiculous, and you have like a great actress like Helen Mirren having to read this off. Dear
Yeah.
goddesses, cross that out. That doesn't sound regal enough. To our dear enemies, uh, we have something that you want. That sounds good. Yes, I think this is really working well. Should we proofread this? No, I'm sure the pen is doing it right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they repeat this joke was so great they had to repeat it.
Yeah. And the entire time Helen Mirren's reading that, she's probably thinking, "How much am I getting paid to do this movie?"
Yep. Yep. And the character is thinking, how are we losing to these people?
Yeah.
Because they really play up the whole dumb kids aspect, which is weird because again, Mary Marvel is old enough to go to college. Billy looks like he's going to be going to college next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Travis says, in all fairness, Helen Mirren has been conditioned by like four oh God, I forgot she was in those movies.
I didn't know she was in those. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess she's there for the paycheck.
Yeah.
Uh, so long story short, the goddesses managed to steal the powers from everybody except Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
They plant this. They plant the golden apple tree in the middle of
Baseball stadium.
the baseball stadium, and it's going to take over the city. And a bunch of Greek monsters are spawning. Uh,
Yeah.
that's where um, that's where Darla gets the scene where she manages to use Skittles
Yeah.
to make the unicorns her slaves because unicorns love ambrosia. I got Skittles.
Yeah.
I guess that was close enough.
Yeah.
Like that was yeah. Again, that character is charming. I like that character, but
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and then the climax is oh, the other thing too is that they put Philadelphia under a dome.
yeah.
It's like
Simpsons did it.
Simpsons did it. Yeah.
That's right. They put it under a dome that the heroes can't break their way out of.
Yeah, and then they managed to shrink the dome down around the baseball stadium. Which good thing they chose the baseball stadium and not the football stadium because the football
Yeah.
stadium uses field turf. But yeah, then and Captain Marvel fights the dragon, which would make Jordan Peterson proud. You're fighting the dragon.
If only it was some sort of lobster.
Yeah.
Although I guess he's read like a lobster, so I approve of that.
Oh yes. Uh,
Anyway,
no, he just has to clean his room.
he does pick up something heavy and move it somewhere else, so that he's got that going for on
That's
several
true.
occasions.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Uh,
But so of course, in the end, good wins. The family all gets their powers back.
mhm.
And then they have two endings, which felt
Yes.
weird because they have yeah, Wonder Woman shows up
Yeah.
to uh, to revive uh,
Uh,
Billy,
yeah.
who died heroically fighting the dragon.
Yeah.
with the most inappropriate use of the Wonder Woman theme ever.
Yeah.
Because like she's just walking casually over before she's going to use this god power, I guess she has, to revive him because they're in the land of the gods where they're burying him.
Yeah.
Just like casually strolling over.
Yeah. Doesn't work in that context there.
No, no. I mean, if you were actually watching these chronologically, her going away scene in the Flash was much better.
Yeah. Yes,
Because
I would agree with that. Yeah.
um, and that is the end. Nothing is accomplished. So there are two. Well, okay,
So
no,
two
no.
ending.
You know
Yeah.
what? Nothing is accomplished because you basically have the same status quo, except now the parents know that they're superheroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and this movie is bad enough that it kept making me want to think of logical inconsistencies. Like, for example, whenever they say Shazam, a bolt of lightning comes down to turn them into their adult form.
But
Their
if they, but
the
if,
house that they live in is constantly getting struck by lightning, and
yeah.
it's causing damage to the house. And this lightning they can do can cause damage to things. Yet the cell phones they're carrying in their pockets all the time are totally okay.
Hmm.
Also, I can't believe we went this far without mentioning Rachel Ziegler's acting.
Oh yeah.
It's because the character kind of vanishes after a bit, even though she's the romantic lead.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking before the show. She really doesn't. She really is not all that effective.
No, she gets her power stolen. She doesn't accomplish much.
Hmm.
They have to make a joke about how she's like 6,000 years old,
Hmm.
and her love interest is like 17,
Yeah.
but they still smooch at the end.
Hmm. Yeah. And of course the part where like where Billy or Captain Marvel is awkwardly flirting with Wonder Woman, and then their mom's like, "What is it with our sons and older women?"
Ha ha, because that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Rachel Ziegler, I'm not impressed with her at all.
No, when her first scene where I thought she was just going to be the civilian love interest, I was like, okay, she's charming enough.
Mhm.
But every other scene after that, I was like, she comes off as very fake and uninterested in what's going on.
Yeah, which doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for Snow White.
No,
I had no hope for it to begin with, but yeah,
it,
I haven't
it
even let.
confirms your lack of hope.
Yeah.
Um, then we have the two ending credit scenes. Travis mentioned the one where the people from the
Yeah.
Suicide Squad show up to try to recruit him to the Justice Society, and that is
Yeah.
probably the best line from the bit. The Justice Society is different from the Justice League because of how words work.
Yeah.
Because they say, hey, "You want to join the Justice?" and he immediately says yes because he
Yeah.
thinks he's joining the Justice League.
It's like, no, okay, well, you're joining the Justice Society. What?
Is that different than the League?
Yeah.
And that I want to say that's one of the better scenes in the movie, but the lead up to it was a couple of characters I didn't like in the half of the Suicide Squad I watched, uh,
Yes. Having a
bitching at each
back.
other.
Yeah, and the blonde woman is played by James Gunn's wife.
Hmm.
So yeah.
He kind of robbed the cradle, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Because I was really surprised when I saw how old he was. 'Cause I guess he has been making movies for a long time.
Yeah, he's like in his 50s, I think, isn't he?
Isn't he like 60?
No, he's like in his 50s.
James Gunn age 57. Okay, so
Okay.
his,
Oh, he's older than I thought. Uh, Now the next question is, how old is his wife?
the important
Uh,
questions in a movie review.
yes. Yeah. Okay. Jennifer. Her name is Jennifer Holland. And
She was
her age is not
19,
listed.
born
Oh.
1987.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, there's a pretty good.
Yep.
That's a
Oh
pretty
well,
good age gap there.
to each their own.
Yeah.
The other ending sequence is them teasing us for a Shazam 3 that is absolutely never going to happen with
Nope.
Mr. Mind showing up to talk with Dr. Savannah in prison again, and Dr. Savannah Yeah, you've left me in here for a year in prison, or for 2 years in prison. What are you possibly doing? I don't have wings or legs. I have to move around very slowly
Yeah.
because I'm a caterpillar. Like it,
Yeah.
like that's how you set up a villain who's going to be a big threat in the next hypothetical movie.
Right. Yeah. It just yeah.
It's not good. Not good,
No, it's not.
unfortunately.
No, it isn't. Well,
I
yeah.
I wanted to like this one. But I noticed it's a bad sign. My dad is a big DC guy, and he is very forgiving of a lot of DC things that I don't have a lot of use for.
Yeah.
He had mixed feelings on this one, so
Mm.
that gave me some pause going in.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, Mary Marvel's hot.
Interesting, yeah. Because of scheduling conflicts, she actually played both civilian and superhero modes this time around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I will say that the hero fighting a dragon made of wood was kind of interesting. Like it's more interesting than just having a beam of light going into the sky that they have
Yeah.
to stop.
Hmm. Yeah. Which, yeah, I'm glad that they've superhero movies finally moved away from that after the 2010s.
Yeah, just in time to become irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, these costumes are bothering me because until I saw them all standing next to each other, everybody but Mary Marvel has these stupid staples on their torsos.
Yeah.
That just does not look good. It looks like the costumes are unfinished or something.
Yeah. That doesn't look good at all. Sort of like the zippers on Captain America's costume in the first Avengers movie.
Hmm.
It's just like completely useless.
Yeah. Um, Other positives, the special effects were complete at least. Like this is a
Yeah,
relatively inexpensive movie by DC standards. I want to say it was like 100, somewhere between 100,
125.
125, 150.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you could
yeah.
mostly see the effects on the screen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Nothing has beaten the Flash for incomplete special effects.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah. But like I said, while you were taking a break, it's on Netflix. If you're interested, believe it's also on Max.
Yep.
So
Yeah, well, I feel like it's weird. I feel like there's more I want to say about it, but there's also less I want to say about it, if that makes sense. Because it's like
no, no, yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, it's
it, it unfortunately, it's just this was. I feel like the whole Shazam concept was always their attempt to have like a DCU ish or excuse me, an MCU ish sub brand,
mhm,
and they just couldn't do it right.
yeah,
Like they also this movie has such weird tonal issues. Like remember the scene where the one who could whisper chaos in people's ears made
yeah,
uh, made Freddy's beloved the school janitor kill himself in front of Freddy
yeah,
by jumping off of a roof.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then like a
That's
scene later, we're doing like, haha, that we're writing with this letter thing that doesn't edit out what we actually wanted to say.
yeah. Not even the Marvel movies are that tonally out of whack.
Yeah, like it's like the villains are. It's like they have the brutal villains of a regular Snyderverse movie
Hmm.
fighting a bunch of idiot chuckleheads who are lucky they have Superman invincibility.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, definitely a lower point in the DCEU.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they, I would say this is actually you've seen Black Adam. Is this
Mm.
better or worse than Black Adam?
Uh,
Sophie's choice.
yeah, Sophie's Choice. Yeah, well, I would say Black Adam's probably a little better.
Oof, and you didn't
Uh,
like that one at all.
I didn't. Yeah.
What tilts it?
um, I guess some of I guess like you're saying the effects were at least good in that movie. And it wasn't like trying to remember Black Adam.
Well, from what I've heard, it wasn't like jokey like this.
That's true. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't totally out of whack. Yeah. Um, I think the main problem I had with that movie was just Dwayne Johnson stroking his ego.
Yeah. So you know what, Zachary? Sorry, I like you in other things. Just you played the part they gave you. It was just a misguided part.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Well,
I will look for the actors I liked in other things, though.
yes, I will too. Yeah. Well, I think we've said all we need to say about that movie.
Yep. How you managed to make a movie where Lucy Liu in a revealing outfit rides a dragon boring is beyond me, but you pulled it off.
Yeah. All right. Well.